So you think a hacker's job is done once they're past the firewall, that getting inside is the end of the story. Oh, not even close. That's just the opening act. The real goal, the main event, that all starts after they've gotten in. So let's dive into this idea, this escalation ladder that every attacker and frankly, every defender really needs to understand.
And this quote from Patrick Engebretson, it just perfectly sets the stage for us. Look, we're not learning these techniques for the fun of it or to do anything malicious. It's about putting on the enemy's glasses for a minute so we can see our own weaknesses that much more clearly. You got to understand the attack if you're ever going to build a truly strong defense.
You know, getting that initial access to a system, it's kind of like getting a guest pass to some high-security building. I mean, sure, you're inside, but you can't just waltz into the CEO's office or the server room. The attacker's real end goal isn't just to be in the building, it's to get the master key to every single room.
And that brings us right to the heart of what we're talking about today, privilege escalation. The best way to think about it is like a ladder. An attacker gets a tiny foothold on the bottom rung, maybe as a low-level user. But they don't want to stay there. They want to get to the very top, to become the administrator or the root user, someone with almost godlike powers over the entire system. They have to find a way to climb, rung by rung.
And you know, this ladder, it isn't just for the criminals. It's climbed by two very different kinds of people. First, you've got your white hats, right? The ethical hackers. Think of them as the Jedis. They climb the ladder to find weak spots and then report them so they can be fixed. And then you've got the black hats, the Siths. They use the exact same techniques, but for chaos and personal gain. Same ladder, totally different intentions.
So how do they even find the ladder in the first place? Well, it's not random. It's not like in the movies. Successful hacking, it follows a very clear, very structured methodology. It's a step-by-step process that's repeatable and, well, pretty effective. It's a journey from knowing basically nothing about a target to, hopefully for them, getting full control.
And here is that process, broken down. It all starts with reconnaissance, just gathering info. Then comes scanning, actively probing for open doors. Phase 3, exploitation. That's where the attacker gets on that crucial first rung of the ladder. But Phase 4, post-exploitation. That's our focus. This is where the real climb, the privilege escalation, truly begins.
All right, let's make this real. Let's talk about the first scenario. Imagine an attacker has gained that initial foothold on a regular Windows machine. They're just a standard user, but they've got their eyes set on the crown jewels, that all-powerful administrator account. So what's their first target? The system's password vault.
In the world of Windows, that vault is a special file called the Security Account Manager, or just the SAM file. Now, Windows isn't dumb enough to store your password in plain text. Instead, it stores them as cryptographic hashes. You can think of them as these complex, one-way mathematical scrambles of your password. And the SAM file is the treasure chest where these precious hashes are kept.
So how does an attacker actually get them? Well, a powerful post-exploitation tool like Metasploit's MeterPrater makes it, honestly, kind of surprisingly simple. Once an attacker has a MeterPrater session running on the victim's machine, which often means it's already got high-level system permissions, they can literally type one command, #dump. The tool then just uses its deep hooks into the system, bypasses the normal protections, and bam, it just hands over the hashes for every user, including the administrator.
But hold on, hash isn't a password, right? Well, not yet. This is the next step. The attacker takes these stolen hashes offline to their own machine and feeds them into a password cracking tool, like the legendary John the Ripper. This program then just relentlessly tries millions, sometimes billions of password combinations, hashes each one, and compares it to the stolen one. When it finds a match, bingo! The attacker has just turned a useless string of characters into the all-powerful administrator password.
Okay, so that's Windows. But what about the other side of the coin? What about the world of Linux? Let's pivot and see how an attacker approaches this totally different environment. The operating system is built from the ground up differently. But you know what? The fundamental goal is exactly the same. Find the password hashes, crack them, and become the all-powerful root user.
The comparison here makes it super clear. While Windows uses that SAM file, Linux systems store their password hashes in a file called /shadow. Different name, different place, but to an attacker it's the same kind of target. The catch, though, is that the path to that file is usually tougher. By default, the shadow file can only be read by the root user, so an attacker can't just dump it like before. They have to find another flaw, maybe a program that's running with high privileges or a misconfigured permission somewhere that gives them a tiny window to read that file. Once they get those hashes out, though, the endgame is identical. Take them offline and let John the Ripper do its thing.
All right, we've seen the attacker's playbook now for both Windows and Linux. And yeah, it might seem a little scary, but remember why we're doing this. We have to understand the offense so we can build a nearly impenetrable defense. So how do we actually protect against these escalation techniques?
Your defense really comes down to 3 absolutely crucial areas. First, something called the principle of least privilege. Simply put, don't give every user account the keys to the kingdom. If an attacker compromises a low-level account, their ladder to the top is going to be much, much taller. Second, enforce strong, complex passwords. This makes the job for tools like John the Ripper exponentially harder. We're talking about turning a crack that takes minutes into one that could take centuries. And finally, consistent system patching. Those initial exploits that get attackers on the ladder in the first place, they often target known, fixable vulnerabilities. Bolting that first door is often the best defense of all.
And that really brings us to the final thought I want to leave you with. You can build the highest walls and the strongest gates for your digital fortress. But if your internal user privileges are a mess, it's like leaving copies of the master key just lying around inside for any intruder to find. So the real question isn't just about keeping people out, it's about what can they do if they actually get in.